It took me too long to realize he wasn't making conversation. It was the third time he asked if I lived alone. This was supposed to be my first normal date in months. I remember thinking that as I sat across from him, smiling politely, trying not to let the question linger in my head longer than it should have. I told myself I was overthinking. That's what dating does to you after a while. It makes you suspicious of things that are probably harmless. We met on an app. Nothing unusual. His profile was simple. No red flags. Normal pictures. A few jokes. He asked real questions. Spelled everything correctly. Didn't push for anything too fast. When he asked me out, he was polite about it. Gave me an easy out. I said yes because, honestly, I missed feeling normal. We chose a casual restaurant. Not fancy, not loud. The kind of place where first dates blend into the background. Booths, warm lighting, low music. Public enough to feel safe. I liked that. At first, everything felt fine. We talked about work, movies, bad dates we'd both had. He listened closely, nodded at the right moments, asked follow-up questions. I noticed he didn't talk much about himself unless I asked, but I didn't think much of it. Some people are just better listeners. Still, I felt observed, not stared at. Just watched carefully, like he didn't want to miss anything. When the food came, he asked where I lived. Not the area, not the neighborhood, the building. I told him generally where, keeping it vague. I waited for the follow-up about my job or commute, or anything normal, but instead he asked what floor I was on. I laughed it off and answered. It felt harmless. My inner voice whispered that it was a little strange, but I pushed it down. First dates are awkward. People ask weird things. A few minutes later, he asked what my evenings were usually like. Routine, he said. Do you get home around the same time every night? I hesitated, just a beat. I told him it depended on work. He nodded, like that answer fit into something he was already arranging in his head. Then he asked if I had roommates. I said no. I noticed he didn't respond right away, just took a sip of his drink and looked at the table, like he was making a mental note. I felt a small twist of discomfort, but again, I told myself I was being dramatic. The conversation drifted back to normal things. Travel, food. He made a joke that actually made me laugh. I relaxed a little. Then later, while the plates were being cleared, he asked, "So you don't share the place with anyone?" Same question. Different words. That was when I felt it, that quiet tightening in my chest. I answered again, slower this time. My mind replayed the question, trying to justify it. Maybe he forgot. Maybe he was nervous. He asked if my neighbors were close to me. Not friendly, not loud, close. Do you see them often? He added. Would they notice if something was off? I stared at him for a second too long before answering. I told him I mostly kept to myself. I watched his face as I said it. His expression barely changed, but his shoulders seemed to ease, just slightly. That's when things shifted. I mentioned I was meeting friends later. Just a casual comment. Something to signal the date had a natural end. His smile faded for half a second. Not anger, disappointment. Like I'd altered plans he hadn't told me about. What friends? He asked. I gave vague answers. I could feel my thoughts speeding up now, lining things up. The questions weren't random. They were structured, layered, each one building on the last. He glanced toward the door, then back at me. That's good to know, he said softly. Good to know for what? I checked my phone and said I should head out soon. He offered to walk me. I declined, keeping my tone light. He didn't argue, but I noticed he watched closely as I stood, like he was memorizing how long it took me to grab my bag. Outside, under the restaurant lights, the air felt colder. I said goodbye, thanked him for dinner. He smiled again, perfectly calm. "Next time," he said, "when it's just us." The way he said it wasn't flirtatious. It wasn't hopeful. It was certain. I didn't correct him. I went home a different way that night. Locked my door, double-checked it. I told myself I was safe, that nothing had actually happened. But I couldn't stop thinking about the questions. The scariest part wasn't the questions. It was how prepared he seemed for the answers.